Hey there, my name's Curtis Lucas and you're watching Empire Building. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about one of the inherent risks that exist within Ethereum. We're going to be discussing some of the things that make Ethereum a riskier investment than, say, Bitcoin. And this is extremely important because, as with many things in this space, there is a very little understanding into exactly what the risks associated with this technology are. People very quickly forget how new this technology is and what its limitations are. Also, that what it's trying to do, what it is attempting to do, has never been done before. So the outcome of these events as we develop this technology isn't known. Unexpected things can and do occur. And if you're not prepared for these things, when they happen, not if, when they happen, you will panic if you don't understand what it is you're looking at. So one of my goals with this channel is to educate people so that they can better understand what these things mean when they do occur, and also help distinguish Bitcoin from Ethereum and many of these other projects. And I'm also going to share with you an event that occurred in Bitcoin that very few people are aware of. Something that happened very early in Bitcoin's life that, if it was to happen today, would have unspeakable consequences. So back to the original question. Why is Ethereum so much riskier as an investment than Bitcoin? And the answer is, it's just a question of how feature complete is it. Bitcoin, by this point in its history, is extremely well established. It's gone through all the growing pains. It's been attacked over and over and over again, which has given it time to develop extremely resilient and robust security countermeasures. This is what makes it such good hard money. So the risk of investing it from that point of view is substantially diminished. How do we know that? Well, the fact that Bitcoin has nearly a $1 trillion market cap indicates that it is at least $1 trillion safe. There's a $1 trillion bounty on breaking that code.
All right, Bob, how secure is Bitcoin? $20 billion secure. How do you know? It was at $20 billion and the money was still there. Ethereum has to do that for every contract. That's the trade-off of doing flexible smart contracts. And these ICOs are now testing it far ahead of the ability to secure the network.
So by contrast, how secure is Ethereum? Well, with certainty, right now we can say it is at least $400 billion secure, because that's the level of the market cap on this network. That's the value secured behind its protocol. So when you hear projects boast about their security measures, you really can't make any significant claims until you've reached certain scales, until you've reached a certain scale.
I use the following analogy. If Bitcoin right now looks like this, rusty old steel boat in 80-foot swells, and the entire crew is on deck, soaked to the bone, welding, cutting, patching, bailing as fast as they can. Meanwhile, over at Ethereum, on the deck chairs, like, this is really nice, isn't it? Yeah. Are you having the shrimp cocktail or the lobster today? I heard the buffet has both. I don't know. Maybe we should do an ICO and decide. We could use a prediction market. That would be cool. They're like, look at those fools. They're so wet. Well, the reason it's all dry is you guys haven't left the harbor yet. Come out here in the 80-foot swells and see if you can sit on that deck chair and see if they're still serving shrimp cocktail or if they're handing out buckets at the buffet. It's easy to not have scaling problems when you don't have scale. In 2013, did Bitcoin have scaling problems? None whatsoever. Did we have a governance problem in 2013? None whatsoever. What changed? scale happened. Big money happened, right? And that brought us to a level of maturity where problems started.
Until that code has been exposed to sufficient and sustained attacks, you can't know how secure it is. And you can't know that because most of these things have never been done before. This is why when I say these are experiments, they truly are. Everybody may be pursuing it from a different point of view with a different objective, but the only way of truly measuring how effective it is seeing whether or not it's able to withstand the attacks that inevitably will come. This is why me personally, I don't engage too much in a lot of the DeFi projects and products out there because frankly, I personally do not know how secure those protocols are. As we've seen many times over and over again, a lot of these smart contract platforms have been hacked, exploiting those bugs for personal gain. I have absolutely no problem with these experiments taking place. In fact, I'm very glad that they are. But me as an investor, I'm not comfortable with that level of risk. I'm far more comfortable to sit back and rely on the base layer, Ethereum in this case, and not introduce that sort of third-party risk. So for me, instead of engaging in some of those DeFi projects, I chose to simply run my own Ethereum node on the Beacon chain and become a part of that ecosystem. And actually support the security behind the blockchain. And running my own node doesn't introduce any third parties. It's just me and the blockchain. Now, there is some level of risk associated with, depending on which client is being used to run that node, the software I'm talking about, there's more than one, but that still doesn't expose the funds themselves to theft. So the thing to realize here is that as time goes on, and the more and more these experiments take place, and the more and more vulnerabilities get exposed and exploited, that's how we learn. That's how the security gets stronger. The longer it's out there being attacked, the stronger it gets. And the only way to know how secure something is to see how long it fends off those attacks. How long can those protocols fend off these attacks before being compromised? So being able to predict exactly what these risks might be is nearly impossible unless you yourself are, say, a white hat hacker or black hat hacker. I'm certainly not equipped to be able to anticipate these types of things, but I do know that they will come. And this brings me back to Bitcoin versus Ethereum. It wasn't like Bitcoin was immune to any of this either. It was exposed to relentless attacks through its history, especially in its younger years. Many people don't know this, but back in August of 2010, Bitcoin wasn't even 2 years old at the time. Someone exploited a bug inside the code that allowed them to create, and I am not kidding here, 184 billion Bitcoin out of thin air. Which, considering how Bitcoin is only supposed to reach a max supply of 21 million after 140 years, this is clearly a problem. Something that Bitcoin's creator just couldn't stand by and let happen. Within 5 hours, Satoshi Nakamoto himself instituted a patch which basically undid that event. Now, thankfully, this sort of exploit occurred while Bitcoin was very, very young, where it was centralized enough that basically Satoshi got a do-over, a mulligan. If something like that was to happen today, the repercussions would be unthinkable. And it wouldn't be something so easily repaired by a single person, no matter who that person was. And this is the important part to remember. With a lot of the things I'm going to be talking about over the next little while on this channel, it really has to do with talking about maturity in this technology and how it evolves over time. You simply cannot judge really any of these protocols based solely on their origins or their creation story. Because for successful projects anyways, like Bitcoin, like Ethereum, what they become is never what they started out as. The reality is their creators don't have any say over what they will become, because they're open source. Once you put it out there into the wild, you no longer have full control over it. And the longer it stays out there, the less and less control these creators have. I think Satoshi Nakamoto understood this, and for that and many other reasons, could suggest why he or she or they chose to walk away when they did. That and certain interested parties that had begun to enter the scene certainly would have provided enough motivation to get the hell out of there. But yeah, so the point here is bugs can be fixed. But Bitcoin has already gone through those growing pains. So its risk is substantially less than, say, something like Ethereum, which is drastically changing. Ethereum's motto right now is basically move fast and break things. It's basically the SpaceX of the blockchain space. Now, you could argue that other protocols are moving even faster and doing even crazier things. Okay, but are they actually doing it at scale? Ethereum's total market cap currently is greater than the sum of the total market cap of the remaining top 10 coins in existence. In some metrics, Ethereum is even greater than Bitcoin in terms of the amount of settlement, value of settlement on Ethereum's blockchain. It's many orders of magnitude greater than that of Bitcoin. In terms of transaction volume, it's greater. In terms of developer activity, it's greater. So the longer Ethereum remains out there in the wild under attack, the stronger it will get. And during this rapid iteration phase that Ethereum is going through, trying to reach its final state, which it will in due time. It may take a couple more years. We don't really know. But I do think the major shift and the major driving force behind this next wave, this next phase of adoption, will come from the move to proof of stake, which currently all signs point to that occurring very early in Q1 of next year. So the question is, will there be bugs? Yes, there will be. How significant? We don't know. But I do know that Ethereum has some of the best and brightest developers working on this protocol. There is billions of dollars invested in making sure this is a success. Now, with that also comes the risk that many people will try to attack it. If there are vulnerabilities, they will be found and exploited. But as that happens, countermeasures will be deployed. At this point, I'm pretty confident that Ethereum could survive anything that's thrown at it. Now, that doesn't mean it won't take its licks, and the price could suffer substantially as a result of these things. But on the other side of it, it will come out even stronger than it was before. Because you only get one chance at those attacks. Because these things are open to the public, once those things are exploited, that door gets closed. It can no longer be used again. And that is how this technology gets developed. Out in the open, where anybody can attack it. And that's how we get stronger. And this is a process of rapid iteration. Ethereum has the luxury to do this because it's in the ethos of how this project began. It speaks to the mindset of the community behind it. It's a community of risk takers. It always has been. But sooner or later, it will find its final form after it's been attacked enough. And for those who are willing to go along for the ride, take on that risk, and consequently are entitled to the reward that comes along with taking that risk. So the important part is you need to decide what level of risk you are comfortable with. And inside the Ethereum space, there is a ton of things you could get involved in. Some riskier than others. And some of them will be completely obliterated as they have in the past. But for me, this is why I choose to stick to the base currency. As far as the potential is concerned, Ether is enough for me. What's enough for you? Well, that's a question only you can answer. But that's it for this one. Now let's get back to empire building.